welcome. Thanks again for watching. Wanted to pass this on to you for your Wednesday night. Still don't have an answer yet for when we'll begin Wednesday nights again, but hopefully be an answer soon for that. Elders are hoping to meet end of the month, and I'm sure we'll be discussing that. But in the meantime, I wanted to post this for your Wednesday night, and I guess really this is just kind of a reflection on the things that I'm noticing in the world, and maybe just trying to at least maybe make an observation. I don't know, I haven't really heard anybody else making these observations, so let me just try it this way. You never really know how a day's gonna go, do you? I mean, really, you don't know for sure how a day's gonna go. And what I'm really referencing to or talking about is just this whole idea of what's going on in the nation right now with the man who was killed by the police officer, and we've got things in an uproar and all of that. And I'm not trying to get into that today. In other words, was thinking about this from a very simple point of view. There's an officer that was involved, and then there were the three others that were with him. And I'd just be willing to bet that every one of those guys woke up that morning thinking it was going to be another day. They had no clue that what was going to happen that day was going to just put a nation into an uproar. And they were just going to, now they're facing criminal charges. And that's going to be, in other words, when that cop woke up that day, he didn't say to himself, well, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to get the nation in an uproar, and I'm going to find myself with criminal charges. I mean, he really woke up, and, he may very well have even had some plans for that evening. There's some stuff I'm going to do. We don't know anything, I don't know anything about his personal life, but it's not that, even if he was just, I'm going to come home and watch a movie and eat and go to bed, he probably had plans that night. I'm going to do my shift. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to go home or whatever. Maybe he had plans that night to be with somebody. Who knows? But when he woke up that day, he probably thought it was going to be just another day. He did not set out to do and to cause all of this that's happening. So, and again, I'm not trying to get into politics here. It's just really a simple observation that life can change in an instant, can it? It just in a second, your whole life can be turned upside down, and the lives of others in this case, because of your actions perhaps. It can just all change so quickly. And we can sometimes just get used to day after day after day going by and nothing really remarkable out of the ordinary happening. And we just start a day and think it's going to be like any other. In fact, over the weekend, I watched part of, one of the nice things about streaming, you don't have to do it all at one time. But when the Eagles, if you're familiar with that group, got back together, they did a tour, and I think they're still touring to this day. I think Glenn Fry has since passed away, but he's been replaced by Vince Gill, so I think they're still even touring with him. I'm sorry, that's beside the point. All I'm really getting at is I was watching that and watching part of it, and they came to one of the songs they did. Don Henley sings it. It's called In a New York Minute. And in essence, it's a song that just talks about how suddenly all of life can change. And that's part of the point of the title, In a New York Minute. Everything can change, and it can just go a whole different way. And I don't know, it just was on my mind there, because think about it, it's a great song if you want to go listen to it. In a New York Minute, everything can change. And so, in other words, we need to be careful as we get up, as we start a day, as we go about it, that what we do every day matters. Every day, what we do matters. We really have to focus on what's important every day. We need to act the way we're supposed to every day. We need to do the things that we're supposed to every day, because it's so easy to get caught up in this little trap that says, well, today is just going to be like yesterday. It's just going to be another day, another mundane, whatever it is going on. And you know what? Every day is important in terms of how we act, because you know what? If we're not doing what we're supposed to, everything can change for us in an instant, and it can also change in the lives of everyone else. And the reality is, you're connected to so many others. And if your life changes, especially in a way for the worse, it's going to change their lives in a way for the worse too. It fundamentally matters what we do. It's important in life that we act right, that we act the way that we're supposed to. And again, let me come back to this news story that's got everybody so torn up in the world today. There were three other, as I understand the story, there were three other officers with him, you know, and I'm just guessing on this. And even if I'm wrong, it doesn't change my point. So I don't want to argue about any of this, but you know, I just wonder how much peer pressure played into this. Instead of telling him to get off that guy, he's handcuffed now. There's four of us here. We can control him, you know. They just let it continue the way it did. There's probably some peer pressure there of, I don't really want to tell him what to do. I don't like what's going on, but I want to tell him what to do. Well, now their lives are turned upside down simply because they gave in to some pressure that said, I don't want to tell this guy what to do, you know. I mean, if it's the right thing, we need to do the right thing. It doesn't matter what our best buddy, our partner, anything is doing, because it matters how we act. I mean, you just hurt for everybody in this whole situation, don't you? I mean, everybody. And again, those three other police officers, they didn't wake up thinking their day was going to go that way either, did they? But now their whole lives have been changed forever. Forever. It'll never be the same. Another observation that I'm noticing about our world today is that video is changing everything. I'm shooting this video on my phone right now. Isn't it easy? And the quality is really pretty good. You're picking up the sound good. It's amazing what you hold in your hand and how easy it is to shoot a video. And that really is changing some things in our world, isn't it? I've seen videos of teachers that lose it in classrooms and the students video them. We've seen videos of all kinds of things. And with all the phones out there and their capabilities now, it's going to be an amazing world. In addition to when we lived down in Austin, I had a friend, and he was an electronics tech, and he worked for a company that did hidden cameras. And so whenever he and I'd go somewhere, I always used to have fun with him. I'd say, okay, we'd walk into a store or even an elevator. I'd say, where are the hidden cameras? Where would you put them? He'd say, well, okay, here, 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 here. You know, he'd just start talking about all the places he could put a camera that you would never know. You'd never know it was there. And the reality is, we're being videoed much, much more than we ever even realize anymore. Much of life is becoming more open. It's going to be harder to get away with and do some things because we're being watched, we're being videoed. In other words, one of the observations I want to make to us is, you know, we need to assume, just as a very practical point of view, that we're being videoed all the time. Assume you're on video. Did you notice the bulletin this Sunday? On the back side, I had some extra space, so I just put in some wisdom for the week. Remember the one that said, okay, it's okay. Dance like nobody's watching, but text and email like it'll be read in court someday, because all that electronic record is out there and can be gotten a hold of, you see. And again, I'm trying to tie this in a way for us that brings it down to our life and our level. You know, the reality is, in a sense, God's videoing all of this, isn't he? He knows whatever you're doing. There is nothing that you can do in secret that God is not going to know about. Now that's a sobering thought, isn't it? I mean, we worry about, it's one of those amazing things that sometimes we worry more about what somebody else in this world might think than we care about what God thinks. And that is a dangerous place to put ourselves when we care more about what somebody in this world thinks than what God thinks. We need to pay attention, and we need to realize everything we're doing is being seen by God. Now, I want to end this video on a positive note. Everything we do is being seen by God, and that also includes the good things. In other words, it's also frustrating to me, in the midst of all this bad news, of all the good stuff that goes on. I appreciate on little news clips or news stories or videos, I see these things pop up, of all the good things that police officers are doing. There's a lot of good things that officers are doing. I mean, just to give one example, I remember one time Riley was having to come back from Houston, and the alternator went out on her car and it died, and it was a summer day. And so she called me, and so I hook up the trailer and I'm gonna go get it and we're gonna tow it home, but there's a period there where she and Ashton are on the side of the road. And a highway patrol stops by, and he's just checking on them. Everything's fine, explaining the car's dead, my dad's coming, he's bringing the trailer. And you know, he goes to his cruiser and he just gets some water and gives it to them so they have something to drink. I mean, it's just very simple little things like that. There's just so much good that is being done. And I guess what I'm alluding to is that God also sees the good that you are doing. We don't have to blow our own horns. We don't have to say things, but God also sees the good. So it really does matter what we do and how we act every day in public and in private. Do the right things all the time, every day, or at least strive to. Thanks for taking the time to watch.
Break.